To absolutely nobody's surprise, we are playing some more Anbennar today, but of course this one is going to be a little bit different. First of all, things look a little bit different, because you can, if you want to, play the next Anbennar update ahead of time. You can just download the newest public release on the Discord. But this isn't like the big video I'm making for the release. This is just something I'm making really quickly because, as you can probably hear, my voice sounds a little bit different. And that's because I got sick on the way back from Japan. So we're doing something quick, something that hopefully won't take more than 7 hours, because if it takes 2 days, then my voice is going to sound really different halfway through this video. With that out of the way, let's talk about Death-Bringing Cobra. Being perfectly honest with you, I actually know next to nothing about this particular region of Sarhal. From what I could tell, there are about like 2 major, maybe 3 major things that happened. One, this is like a giant deposit of Dame's Tear, and I think apparently it's because some dragon died here. It's not a meteor. I thought it was a meteor, because there's like a giant crater. To the west, there were like 4 wars of unification or something. They're a bunch of tribes with a very similar naming convention. Work-doing Hippo, or just hiding Okapi. So they fought a bunch of wars. You can see they're still not united. And we actually are a kind of one of those, except not really. We're not going to do anything that they do. We're in this region, which once held, I think, the Bois de Kinshi Empire. I'm just going to call it Dakinshi. I think if you play as these guys, you can just form Dakinshi. So they have a whole thing going on. But we're kind of unique because we're not one of these guys, and we're also kind of, but not really one of these guys either. Now, the Death-Bringing Cobra clan allegedly did actually rule over all of Bamaliwuni. That's this region that we find ourselves in. But that was 200 years ago, and we're a little bit irrelevant. About a decade ago, we did descend from the mountains to capture the city of Inshibonde. But unfortunately, 5 years ago, a high-ranking retainer named Quizera betrayed the clan's leadership when we were most vulnerable, initiating a purge of unusual brutality and forcing the remnants of the clan to flee back into the mountains. In that chaos, we have another high-ranking retainer of the clan, Quende, who became the new matriarch. A powerful mage by all accounts, she was pregnant at the time of Quizera's brutal purge, and most assumed the child was lost from stress. Yet, despite ruling without family, Quende seems blithely unconcerned with matters of succession, and in the halls of her mountain fastness, she consorts with even darker magics. The Death-Bringing Cobra shares her desire for revenge, and her people are willing to follow where Quende leads. Yet, her designs for Sarhal are bleaker than even her closest retainers can imagine. Her venom and lust for vengeance concerned with more than petty warlord infighting. So we have our General Quende, who is currently our ruler as well. She's not particularly good at ruling, but she is very powerful. We get a permanent claim on the entire Bamaliwuni region, and of course 25 army tradition to start with. This mission tree actually isn't very big, kind of the same way that the Iron Scepter mission tree is not that big, because it's really meant for you to do one thing, and our one thing is becoming evil. That's right, we are the newly improved Shadow Pact religion. The pact itself is pretty vague. It's all about trying to venerate powerful beings in the shadow plane, which they view as the afterlife. They also believe that nothing is free, and to receive a blessing, something must be sacrificed. Whether that blessing is on Halan or in the shadow plane. The way our mechanic here works, I believe, is that we just build up enough faith power until we can get a random portent. We do that 3 times, and then we do the ritual, which presumably clears them. So I don't think it's anything too crazy. We do have some good stuff in here, but of course we can't really pick it. We have a baked-in gambling mechanic. Also went ahead and sorted out the estates, went ahead and grabbed more manpower, that kind of thing. Couple of points. A lot of new stuff for the mages, actually, because magic got a complete rework in this new Anbennar update. We'll probably end up taking a look at that at some point. But for now, we need to increase the size of the army. We're going to do that the old-fashioned way by hiring a mercenary company, because it is cheaper than hiring actual units. There is a storehouse to the west of Balan Cabo, and in it there are many gifts. The woman who put them there wanted her daughter to be ready. The 4th of these gifts is a baby rattle. It is made from ivory, wood, and dried chickpeas. The relief on the obverse depicts a cobra rearing, its hood flared. I made you out of hatred. You are my venom. Starting off strong with this one, you can tell we're just going to be a happy sunshine kind of place. We do get an event from that. The first gift, 1439 AA. I want nothing, Quende says. She stands in a quiet place before Granny Ilfanil, wisest of the wise three, hag of the coven of Yezelmora, and she offers up a weapon. It is the life in her womb, the child itself. Nothing, Granny asks, cocking her head. Women who promise their young to the hags always seek something in return. Power, freedom, life extension. Only for you to do what you already wish, Quende says, her voice hoarse. You will make her strong? Yes, Granny says. And you will unleash her on Sarhal. This is your intent. Quende has seen it. The shadow has told her through its portents. It is. There is power in something freely given, no? Quende speaks stiffly through rigid misery. The man who gave her this child is dead. Her own mother, who would recoil in the horror of this, is dead too. There is nobody left to judge Quende or to stop her. The most powerful ritual is voluntary, agrees Granny Ilfa. Stronger than that which is transactional. Quende nods. She steps forward, casting off her silk wrapper. She seizes Granny Ilfa's wrist and tugs it to her. Granny's 8 spindly fingers dance across the slight bump of Quende's belly. I felt her so early, wise one. I felt her magic. Quende's vision swims with tears, but few on Halan have ever looked so intently into Granny's ancient eyes. I give her to you, Granny Ilfanil, to do with as you will. May all Halan suffer. We get 3 units of Shadow Warriors. These guys are special. They take longer to reinforce, but get 10% increased shock damage, minus 75% morale damage received, and plus 10% morale damage of their own. And with that, we do have to do a couple of things. Well, first we're going to have to wait until December, for the 12th month. And I did not read far enough ahead because I should have rivaled these guys, but we do have to go to war and take over all of their territory. Pretty easy battle, as you could imagine. Our ruler is simply too powerful for anybody to stop, so she's gonna go ahead and siege. In the meantime, we do have to do some vicious mockery. Yoink! That wasn't too hard. The 6th gift is a blunt legal cudgel made from iron and Tanazu hardwood. I think the lore here refers to some kind of war that happened during the era that Deathbringing Cobra was the ruling clan in this region. Presumably Quizera was some character, or perhaps some country that led to the downfall of the empire. Gumthi presumably fled the field of battle to save themselves, and this was a dishonor, a betrayal that was never fixed. No restitution offered. So for 10 years, we get Crushing Spirits as our modifier. As long as we have this modifier, coring provinces in the Bamalawuni region will reduce local autonomy by 25% and remove 5 years of separatism. Lovely. Now, in theory, we could chill for a little bit, and maybe we're supposed to, but I'm not gonna do that. Something we are supposed to do is apparently exploit base tax. Either that 4 times or get more corruption. I don't really like having corruption, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. The 7th gift is a linen head wrap with a touch of blood on it. For 10 years, as long as we have this economy of conquest modifier, winning wars against the Kinshi warlords will grant us 50 crowns. Very nice. Yoink. I did decide to hold off a little bit before going to war with everybody here, because we need to turn on the Shock and Awe spell for this mission. We have this cool new interface, bunch of stuff in it, complete magic rework. Honestly, I don't know what's going on most of the time here, but we have our spell book with all of our spells, and we just need to go to Evocation and click Shock and Awe. 15% increased shock damage for the next 5 years, as well as reduce naval and artillery barrage cost. For the most part, that's just going to give us 3 religious revolts in the capitals of, I think, these 3 guys. The 8th gift is a clay vial of something known as Shifter Sap. Not really sure what it does, but I think it's implied in the name. You can probably become some kind of creature. Anyway, these guys get Shadow Pact Zealots. Good for them. Have fun fighting those. I'm going to go ahead and fight this guy who didn't get any of those. Yoink. There's no reward for being lazy, so we're going to go ahead and clean up the rest of the coast best we can. We can still get innovativeness from the Miltech, so we'll pick that up. Our last enemy on the coast has suffered from a couple of rebellions. Their army is weak, and they have worse Miltech than we do. So even though they have subjects, I don't think it's going to matter very much. Now, I am a little bit curious about this one because Inchibonde is actually not around anymore, so we're allowed to finish it, but I don't think we did it the way we're supposed to. The 11th gift is a trousseau, bunch of bridal goods, stuff like that. Fine make, but generally unremarkable. We get another event. Okay, this is certainly one of the events of all time. You can go ahead and read this if you want. It's a little gruesome. So Quizera, I think, was the ruler of Inchibonde, who's now gone, technically, but the event still references her. TLDR, she dies in a really horrific manner. The pelt is taken intact, save for 4 holes. Lovely. We get cores on a bunch of stuff. Every now and then we do also have to put in a little local organization. It's to improve our shadow warriors. Every 5 of these we put down. It also reduces the economic output of each province, but increases the manpower, and more importantly, increases the shadow warriors force limit. It does take a while to get a lot of religious power when you have very low religious unity. But anyway, the 5th gift is a meditative focus for religious ritual and shadow magic. We get the event The Second Gift, which is funny because we actually already got the 3rd gift. Pretty interesting event where our ruler is speaking to her unborn child as she's pregnant. As she's actually 11 months pregnant, which is a little bit overcooked maybe. She addresses her unborn daughter, as she's sure that it will be a daughter, saying that her kinsmen were good folk, unlike her. They were not cruel the way that she is, and how she watched as Quizera's men forced them to beg, for they had no power to prevent it. No finger to point at the heroic beasts, no voice to curse Amalak, no poison to dump in the great river of Chi. But Quende smiles, for she does. She has her daughter. Now every time we re-roll a portent, we will spawn 1 shadow warrior in the capital, and we actually can go grab a random portent. -5 years of separatism, not bad. The peace deal is gonna look a little bit awkward, but I'm just gonna take the stuff I need to end the Warlord era. That is another thing we have to do to finish off our mission tree. It is unfortunately going to give us +6 national unrest for the next 20 years, so that's lovely. But it is what it is. We do at least become an empire, that's neat. Now that we're an empire, it's not too bad for us to go ahead and change our national focus. We might as well also pick up the military technology for more innovativeness. I'm gonna go ahead and throw a little bit of development into this gold mine. We really could use the money, and it makes us a great power. Stability's a little bit expensive, but I will bump it up just once. Now, the reason we need that money is because we do need to end up building a mage tower. Quite expensive to do that, it's like 500 ducats. But it also takes like 5 years, so we're gonna go ahead and do that right now. And this province seems like a nice place for it. It is, after all, also a natural harbor. I think it's gonna become a really big city at some point, and this will help out with that. I do like the new magic system quite a bit. It means you can pick something up which you're absolutely not going to complete, and then just do it anyway. For the second portent, we can actually finish another mission off. This one's pretty decent, 5% manpower recovery speed. All we have to do is cast invisibility. You can read this if you want, but mostly we just get another missionary for the next 15 years, and while we have this modifier, if we exploit development, then that province will get +5% local missionary strength for 5 years. We'll take a free stability, and after that, we can finish this off. 10th gift is a mantle made of snakeskin and black feathers, very cool. It's going to give our shadow regiments +15% shock damage and -10% manpower usage. I was going to try and wait until I have no unrest to finish this off for the free 10,000 manpower, but that's just not going to happen. So we have our 12th gift, an abacus. We'll get a free stability and lose 4 war exhaustion. The 13th gift is a set of ivory shadow portents, each lovingly apportioned its own niche within a large acacia box. I will not do you the disservice of apologizing. Make the world weep, daughter. It just gives us an event. There is a storehouse to the west of Balancabo, and in it there are many gifts. Granny Ilfa brings her granddaughter there in the dim light of the dusk. You have a choice, Granny says, and the little girl glances at her, blinks. The little girl does not make choices very often. Understand she does not crave them. Her life is an endless, stimulating procession of new knowledge, new magic, new understanding. Her beloved Granny, stern and demanding, nevertheless provides for every curiosity a child might possess. Not a day in the little girl's life has gone by without learning, and she does not fear boredom, even as she drills again and again a cantrip or a ritual or the history of a long-fallen kingdom. This place contains things from your mother, Granny continues, her 6 long fingers waving lazily in the air. We have a little free time should you wish to take a look, a glance. Otherwise, we will continue with your runecraft. The little girl's face goes very still. She has learned to read for moments such as this. Moments when her good sense and studiousness can thoroughly please her Granny. Granny is her teacher, her mentor, her closest friend. On most days, Granny is the only other living being she sees. She schools her expression into a sneer of aristocratic disdain, shrugging. How strongly she resembles the aunts she will never meet. Is there a struggle beneath that little face? Is there any conflict at all? Even a hag cannot tell, and it is this more than the decision itself which pleases her Granny. No need, the little girl says, her eyes squarely on her work, her gaze cold. Let's continue. She needs nothing from a stranger. Interesting. So her mother, who is actually still alive at this point at the age of 63, has gone ahead and left a bunch of gifts or her daughter, but her daughter has been so thoroughly indoctrinated by the Hag Covenant, or in particular by Ylfa, that she actually doesn't even care about the gifts that were given to her. This leads us to form the Umbral Covenant. We get a bunch of new missions, we get new traditions and ambitions, and another event. Presumably the Umbral Covenant has better ideas. I'm just going to go ahead and accept them. I can already tell this is a lot better. Interesting. Max effective absolutism. Yeah, I'd say it's a lot better. Watch the village woman as she chases the Cobra towards her crumbling garden wall. She brandishes her broom and toots and makes faces, for the Cobra is fond of neither noise nor size. What a madam the woman thinks she is, stamping her feet, how she shrieks when the Cobra rears, when the Cobra strikes. Yet it is not the bite that kills this stupid village woman. It is the poison left to fester. It is what the snake has grown within herself. Return, daughter, my righteous poison, and make the whole family weep. The Umbral Covenant is sworn. So we get a ruler, the Vile One, a 616 with a strong claim at the age of 99. We also seek an alliance with Yezel Mora. Those guys are like the swamp trolls. The actual night coven where the hags are, I think. So we are a new government type, the Vile One. Literally just increases technology cost. I also think it makes our ruler immortal, which is a little bit awkward because over here, I did go ahead and pick this one up, and if I do this ritual, that means that she will get killed in 33 years. See, that's not great. To kick things off, we actually are going to move our capital to this province. It's important to do that because I actually do want to spawn the Renaissance in here. And we do need to have at least 3 buildings, including a mage tower in the capital, and we need to develop it a lot. So let's actually start by taking out 2 loans. We'll upgrade that to level 2. Developing the capital also allows us to finish this mission off. Malawuni. The rift opens, and I can see 2 women stand in the vestibule of a palace, in a threshold place where guests are not yet admitted and travelers have not yet left. It is the sort of half place where my granny Ylfa thrives, a place where one can slip through the conceptual cracks of reality. And yet, this is the kind of exchange which has happened so many times before. Granny Ylfa, with her long fingers, takes a baby from the other woman, whose face is etched in grief. This, too, is familiar. The grief of one who has sacrificed something to power which they can never retrieve. Did my mother look like this when she handed me over to my destiny? Kiagibo gets a major Shadow Rift until the end of the game, giving it a very small amount of local trade power. The major Shadow Rift increases our Shadow Essence by 5. It allows up to 10 minor Shadow Rifts to begin to propagate throughout my corrupted region, and each minor Shadow Rift will increase the Essence by 1. Okay, so we get a bunch of conquest missions, different campaigns, I guess. So we can choose between these 3 regions. I think Yeta Fasethi makes the most sense. After all, it is a node that we could control more of and funnel the trade down into here. Could say the same thing about this region though. In fact, the trade does matter a little bit more here. Okay, so we get more missions. Right, I see. So we have to repeat this multiple times. This was basically us finishing a campaign. We get the rift, and then we move on to the next area, finish the campaign there, get a new rift, rinse and repeat. Now that we have the institution, we can easily embrace it after we've sold a few titles. I suppose we can probably share our knowledge with Yezel Mora. I am sat on a throne, my little legs dangling half a foot above the ground. Kirit on her horrid days calls out, "What is the color of the sky?" In unison they answer, "Green, Mama Harit, purple, Mama Harit, red, Mama Harit." We are deep in the heart of the Shadow Swamp. Some of the young trolls here have never once seen the shades they recite. This, I understand, is power. We get an upgraded version of the Vile One government reform. We reduce the number of decadence comes with age events we get, while making learnings of an elder more likely to happen. We reduce all power costs by 5% and increase female advisor chance. I think it's time for us to finally break our isolationism. The economy is stable, the country is mostly stable. Got enough trust with Yezel Mora for this one. Talks about the teachings of the 3 main hags of the coven. Power, opportunity, and intrigue. It'll give us an event. My purpose. You are potential, the one who opens the way. The voice is that of an elderly woman. Ilfanil, Granny Ylfa, mastermind of the coven of Yezel Mora, wise one, mentor to the great, secret hoarder, tutoress. Banish from your mind any notion of a schoolroom. The Vile One, a mere child, sits cross-legged in a sumptuous but austere study. This place does not belong to Ylfa. She has never built palaces. To Ylfa, such palaces are lent freely. Am I to sacrifice? The Vile One says. Sacrifice myself. Sharp child. Granny Ilfa gazes at her, her spindly limbs moving beneath her robes. Granny's fingers are never quite right when she transforms. Too many or far too long. Each of the hags of Yezelmora has such a tell, but for the little girl, 7 fingers feels as normal as 4. Yes, Granny says, going very still. Sacrifice and to make us proud. Before the planar convergence is past, your life will bring about shadow, the ultimate knowledge of things, the coming together of the universe. The first honest, conscious moment of creation. You will do something nobody else has ever imagined. It is an enormous burden, bluntly laden upon a child. The Vile One is not the only child to be offered such a future, not the first to crave Granny's approval, but this child, this fierce, brilliant child, is the first to nod without hesitation. The Vile One smooths her face down to a stoic mask, just as she knows she should. I will bring shadow. As long as we are allied to Yezelmora, we get the pact between us. When one wins a war, the other gains monarch points. Yezelmora's continued expansion will bring us additional periodic benefits, nice, and we get the pact level 1 until the end of the game, granting seemingly nothing. Probably just the monarch point thing. We actually do need to make the Vile One into a war wizard. I was a little concerned about doing that because I figured she is actually technically 105. I don't know if she's actually immortal. She does definitely get 50% increased monarch lifespan. And I'm not too sure what happens if she dies, but it is what it is. I had the Vile One go and study a little bit of necromancy, which was necessary to finish this off. A thread trails beyond my arm, a break in my linen. I follow it, deep, far deep, the fabric flowing through my hands, chafing at the skin of my palms, slowly carving a deep, thin groove. Surely, where the thread goes is an empty place. Surely I am chasing my thread into a void. Just beyond the point of the unbearable, I find where the thread goes. It goes into everything. This enables the Shadow Empowerment System. That ties back into the Shadow Essence capacity that we get from the Major and the Minor Rifts. So we have this cool little tab over here with a neat interface. You can click on each of these to see what we have access to. These ones each cost 5, these cost 15, these ones cost 30. You get the gist. You can see we have a couple cool things actually. Seizing land from estates doesn't cost loyalty. That's pretty crazy. They're all pretty minor but pretty decent effects. 10% core creation cost reduction for 5 years when you declare a war. Recruiting generals spawns shadow warriors. Scornful insults reduce fort defense. Pretty decent stuff. I think for you to reset it, you do need to have 5 additional capacity to disable all of your active spirit powers and lock new activations for 5 years. In that case, I'll go with the seizing land from estates does not cost loyalty. There really isn't much stopping us at this point. Took a little bit of finagling to get this mission done. Just had to make sure that the mages were happy enough. Not too much in this event, just talking about how one of the hags is able to change her appearance to appear basically perfect. Gonna give us plus 5% all estates loyalty equilibrium for the rest of the game and minus 20% estate interaction cooldown. We're gonna go ahead and use the money we just gained to improve our army reformer to level 3, just so we can finish this off. She will need to cast the entrails, of course. Inclined to agree with Granny Ilfa's somewhat withering estimation of the magic of men, generally speaking, of course. I do not need a popinjay. Must know how to read the dead. I can forgive a lack of immediate prophecy, such things are a dice roll, so long as she is not cringing and apologetic. This will give us an event. Of course I can do this, the diviner says, her squat face irritable as if the question is stupid. I am not some callow student. She cannot know that the look she gives is just like Granny's, yet it is utterly incongruous, for this young woman is young, plump, not even so wise looking. Some up-jumped village girl in worn sandals with sweat stains under her armpits. There's a spot of blood on her neck, which the girl has not bothered to wipe off. The Vile One finds herself smiling. There is more she must ask. She must find a way, quietly, to determine precisely just how far external magic can addle divination, and she must learn this without admitting who it is she fears. All of these questions swirl around and around in a half-hazy way her thoughts run when she is concentrating on several things at once. There are so many to do. And yet, instead, the Vile One, inheritrix of the hags, asks, "Your name?" "Ikomea," says the young diviner, adjusting her wrapper. Her expression has not become any friendlier. That's going to give us plus 1 missionary and 2% missionary strength for the rest of the game. I thought for some reason that it might fix the problem with, being guaranteed to die in 33 years. Really not too sure what to do about this. And yet we do need to perform 3 rituals and there's no backing out of it, so we might as well. A monarch cannot die of natural causes for 33 years, but will die after the effect ends. We get 5.6 thousand manpower. We get 20 years of morale of armies, and aggressive expansion impact increase. We may not slacken for the next 20 years. We do also get 1 Diplo skill for the Vile One at the cost of 30 prestige. No idea how long the Vile One is even supposed to live for, but presumably I have just fumbled the bag in a ridiculous way. We have now reached the missions that are going to take quite a bit longer to get through. An army of 50,000, 20% professionalism, that kind of thing. Gotta train the mages to be proficient in enchantment and in divination. We need 2 more rituals, no unrest, pillage 5 capitals, win 30 battles, that kind of thing. So I think, keeping in line with the fact that today's video was going to be shorter from the start, I hope you can forgive me, but we are going to put a stop in for today. Fortunately, I did get to show you a little bit of the cool stuff that's coming to Umbral Covenant when the update for Anbennar releases on April 24th. Of course, just like you saw here today, you can go ahead and play this before the update releases. I think Umbral Covenant is one of the more complete mission trees right now, so you shouldn't expect anything to be too different by the time it releases. That being said, I hope you did enjoy today's video. Leaving a like would be super appreciated, even though this time we will not be continuing this series. I do actually plan to release another video for when the update actually does come out, so you can look forward to that, and what I mean really is that you should subscribe and make sure you don't miss it when it comes out. And with that, I'll catch you in the next one, and I hope you have a fantastic day. I'd like to give a big thank you to the patrons for this month. All of these wonderful people decide to donate to the channel out of the kindness of their hearts, and also for early access, I imagine, which they do get. But anybody paying more than $1 is doing it for the love of the game, so I'd like to give a special shout out to Erica, Alistair Coyle, Baby Cow, Borderline All-Star, Gallo4, Orca Maistegi, Luca Becker, Mikhail Sample, Nick Steffel, Princess Rhea, Cuberoot, Smiro, Tillman Augustin, A.G. Forero, Ben Mottrup, Colossal Cloud, Luke78776, Quiet Guy, Rossette, Torvalved, Ambient Cyan, James Levy, Stalin DLRP, and Robert.